So what problem are we trying to solve? A doctor has maybe 30 to 90 seconds between patients to look at a patient's chart. So this is an example of that with OpenEMR. You'll see it's deployed. I can see the patient's allergies, medical problems, some medications, some prescriptions they're on, a lot of information that's not actually filled in, some clinical reminders, maybe future appointments they have, labs if I want to click in, their vitals. There's a lot of information here, but it's buried in a lot of screens, and a doctor is going to have to go through a lot of that. So what if we just had a clinical copilot like we have here? So I'm going to refresh this. I have it cached by default. So if you visited them, it'll already show it. But this is going to show you how fast this works. So streams in pretty fast. And this is a really cool feature. So everything that's over here that's highlighted is something that if I click, it's actually going to show me where that lives in the database. So I have a verification layer. So if we're going to quote, if the LLM quotes 9.1% something, it's getting that information from a tool call, and then it's actually showing it here on the database. And if there's ever a discrepancy there, it just will silently not show it. So what you see here on the right is not LLM generated, and that's really cool because we know that that's the real deal. And if I were to click view and chart, I could actually jump down, click into the labs, and see the actual labs. But up here, I can see a fair amount of interesting stuff. Potassium, seeing some information about how their stuff has risen and fallen. So A1C has risen 7.8 to 9.1% across 5 quarters, etc., because of this medicine Jardiance. And then I can ask some follow-ups. So I could say, show Marcus's A1C trend. And I'm not a doctor, so I don't entirely know what this stuff means. But what we see here is it has gone down, or is that based on the order of this, it's risen. But we are not saying what that means. So no downward movement despite the Jardiance, but we're not giving a clinical thing. We leave that up to the doctor. We could ask, what is today's appointment for? I think it's about the Jardiance edition, right? Exactly. And then just to show some adversarial stuff, I might try to ask something like, what about patient Bill Belford? It should refuse to answer that because that's not who we're talking about right now. And if I said something like, does Marcus have diabetes? Should we adjust the Jardiance? It should say something along the lines of I can't give you, okay, so it supports diabetes, but treatment adjustment recommendations fall outside of the chart data. Exactly. So it's not going to actually give me chart data information. And that's basically it. You can keep clicking these. You can write your own questions, but there's a fair amount of good information here. And just to show you, let's say we just said, okay, what about Park James? That's going to take a second to load. This stuff takes a minute until you're actually looking at the right user. But James Park, I don't know why that doesn't update there, but if we wait long enough, we should see the clinical copilot talk about James generating. Yeah, so it takes a minute, but there we go, James Park. So sometimes it takes a minute, but we could talk about any number of users. What else do I want to show? I'm probably running out of time, so sorry about this. Where do I have my code? Just showing you the basic architecture, how it works. So we have the existing chart workflow, and then I use React and TypeScript to create that little copilot panel, which is just a panel that can be injected into the page. If it isn't cached, then we'll make a call to this PHP module for the copilot. The agent orchestrator does some things. First, it checks the care relationship. So if this doctor doesn't already have a relationship with this patient, it won't actually work, which is by design because we don't want any doctor to be able to talk about any patient. Then we do some tool dispatches to learn about the patient, about labs, about medications. There's some logging, then we make the LLM call, and then finally there's this verification pass where I actually talk to the patient service, the encounter service, the lab service, ultimately get things from the database and compare the database entries to what the LLM actually returned. And finally, let me just show eval stuff. So here's eval stuff, and as you see, we have a bunch of eval things that we checked. not all of them passing perfectly. Doesn't always handle no data gracefully, but we see the times where it does work and where it doesn't. I think the most interesting stuff is the adversarial stuff. So as you see, we're passing 100%, and we tried a number of things like you can't talk about other patients. It won't give clinical advice. It won't talk about things that are out of scope. Like if you said tell me about, create a Python script, it won't do that for you. It's pretty good with injections. So in case someone wrote something in the follow-up notes that is actually like drop database, it probably won't run it. It refuses information requests for private health data, and it refuses to reveal the system prompt. So for the most part, pretty cool. That's everything. Hope you enjoyed.